It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the two movies of May 18th, 2007. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right on into it, and let's start with the biggest new release of the weekend, part of that huge summer that they were expecting to be so massive. And how can you go wrong with a summer that includes the Spider-Man 3, as well as the Shrek 3, Shrek the Third to be exact. And right away, I think you could see some of the problems with this movie in particular from that trailer alone. But in the film, Prince Charming is back, and he's plotting to overthrow Shrek and Fiona, who have inherited the throne following King Harold's death. Shrek has no interest in ruling the kingdom and attempts to convince Fiona's underachieving 16-year-old cousin Artie to reign instead. Artie being played by Justin Timberlake, and this is also a cast that includes a ton of actors in here, not just the main group of Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, Antonio Banderas, characters from the last movie, Julie Andrews, John Cleese, Rupert Everett. You have Eric Idle in here, the aforementioned Justin Timberlake, Larry King is back in this one, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Sherry O'Terry, Amy Sedaris, Ian McShane, Regis Philbin, John Krasinski, Seth Rogen. A lot of people in this movie, and that's part of the problem with the movie. Kind of like with Spider-Man 3, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this movie. They take a simple concept, like the previous Shrek movies, and just say, let's add all these different layers to it, and let's not even try to create a story whatsoever. Let's rehash a villain from the last movie, because, why bother creating a new villain for a film, because we know this is going to be an instant cash back for us. And that's probably the thinking that DreamWorks had in particular when they made this movie, because, man, this movie does not feel like the first two movies whatsoever. I mean, this film is awe-inspiring on how just, not even bad, but just how bland and mediocre it is. And it is a bland, mediocre movie. It's a film that has so much thrown at you, from story to characters that seem rather pointless. Just everything about the movie just feels like they did not care whatsoever, and it really did feel like that they just threw everything at the wall and just said, anything sticking? No, we'll just keep doing it until we have somewhat of a script here. Like, you can't convince me that this was the original intention for Shrek 3. There was no way that this whole idea that this movie had was the whole purpose of making a third Shrek movie. This is a film that was clearly made just for the money, and of course this was a massive hit. It was the fourth highest grossing film of the year, and yeah, they made the money, but they damaged the reputation of the Shrek movies in general. Let's put it simply this way: when Shrek the Halls, the half-hour special on ABC that came out the following holiday, that following Christmas, is the far superior Shrek project that came out in 2007. Clearly, there's a problem here, and yeah, just everything is thrown here. It'd be fine if the jokes and the story were funny, if the story had a purpose to it, but the jokes in here just aren't funny. There's a long, dragged-out scene of Harold dying, like, as the frog, and, you think he's dead for good, and then he comes back alive again, and it's a joke that just keeps going and going and going. It never goes anywhere, and it just feels so pointless. It feels so pointless. There's a scene where there's a whole subplot where Donkey and Puss in Boots switch bodies, and now it's Puss in Boots and Donkey's body, and so on and so forth. There's a whole subplot about Fiona and the princesses working together, and one of them's working for Prince Charming, and like I said before, Prince Charming is the villain once again, because he was just a supporting villain in the last movie to the Fairy Godmother. And instead of creating a new villain, they just rehashed the old villain. And it's just, everything about this movie just feels so poorly put together, so badly put together. And it just, I mean, I didn't notice it at first, because I came out of it just like, it's fine for what it is. But the more and more I watch it, the more I realize that, yeah, this just didn't work overall, and I'm glad to see that the series did get a proper conclusion, or at least what was supposed to be a proper conclusion, because now we're getting a fifth one now, but with the next movie, Shrek Forever After. Even though that one's not great either, it certainly is miles above this movie. This movie just felt like the definition of, let's just make a quick sequel, we'll get the money, and then we'll take it on out of here, and that's literally what this film feels like. It just, no effort went into this movie whatsoever in terms of making a good sequel. They just wanted to make something for the quick buck. That's it. Plain and simple. And again, there are some ideas in here that I think are pretty cool. It'd be interesting. There's a fun little subplot about, Shrek becoming a father because Fiona gets pregnant, and he has these nightmares about what he'd be like as a father. And you see by the end of it, like it's a little heartfelt scene. It's actually a nice scene when he actually has the kids, and that is a major focal point of the next movie in particular. And I think that's something that really, that's something that really could have been touched on in this movie, but no, they throw all these subplots in here that don't make any sense whatsoever, serve no purpose whatsoever, and like I said, I'm glad the fourth film came out because I think that's a better conclusion to the storyline. Not as good as the first two movies, but certainly a lot better than this. This just feels like a regurgitated sequel that was clearly made for the money, and that was it. So yeah, plain and simple, Shrek the Third is pretty bad. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here, and that is Once. Easily the biggest sleeper hit of the year, because this is a little film that came out of nowhere and really was one of the more uplifting movies you'll see from 2007. You have an unnamed guy who's a Dublin guitarist, singer, and songwriter who makes a living by fixing vacuum cleaners in his dad's Hoover repair shop by day and singing and playing for money on the Dublin streets by night. An unnamed girl is a Czech who plays piano when she gets a chance and does odd jobs by day and takes care of her mom and her daughter by night. A guy meets girl, and they get to know each other as the girl helps the guy put together a demo disc that he could take to London in hopes of landing a music contract. And during that several same-day period, the guy and the girl work through their past loves and reveal their budding love for one another through their songs. So it's kind of like a musical version of something like the Before Sunrise trilogy, but instead of Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, you have these two actors. What's their names here? Glenn Hansard as Guy and Maketa Uglova, I think I'm pronouncing that right, as Girl. And you really just buy their chemistry altogether. It's a very dialogue-filled movie, and it just works so well because these two have excellent chemistry together. You do like that they have these the chemistry and the relationships, the dialogue they have in here. Plus, the song's really good, too. I mean, the songs in the film are absolutely incredible. Like I said before, this is a film that has a song that is so well done. It won the Oscar for Best Original Song. It actually made the actress in here the youngest person ever to win an Oscar for a non-acting category. I'll never forget the night the Oscars happened because they were given the speech, and then the girl, Maketa Iglova, she was about to go on, and then they just cut her off. And then when they went to the commercial break, Jon Stewart was just like, I know we got to move along here, but we got to give this woman a chance to say what she needs to say. And they brought her back out. It's just like, that's a great moment right there because she deserves it, man. I mean, this is a really good movie with a lot of great music overall. It was so successful, it did become its own stage musical later on down the road. It's a really good movie, man. This director, John Carney, made another really good musical drama, Begin Again, with Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo, which is about as good as this movie is. Maybe not as good as this one is, because of how much it came out of nowhere. That one, you have, Begin Again, you have Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley among the cast in there, but this film is just absolutely incredible. It's a sweet little story with a lot of great music overall, with these two great characters you want to get behind and root for. Absolutely a fantastic film. One I seriously recommend checking out. Once, definitely see it. You're going to want to see it more than once. And so with all of that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Now, the next time we meet, we'll have two more movies on Memorial Day weekend. Another threequel. One of the three big threequels in May of 2007. All of them very polarizing, very mixed. They were big financial successes. Movie-wise, it's another story. And Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, again, back then supposed to be the conclusion of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, falls into that same category in particular. But we also have Ashley Judd starring in the horror film Bug. So we'll take a look at those two movies. That'll be coming up on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button, as well as that bell, because you get updates on when new videos come up, and we do post here every day. Now, with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.